I was at Vancouver International Film Festival, and there's still movies I need to talk about. I still haven't gotten to them. Let's keep going. And from worst to best. One of the films I saw was Father, not to be confused with another 2020 film called The Father, which I'm looking forward to. This Father is a film from Serbia with the same director as Circles, which is a film that I really enjoyed. Now, this film I also enjoyed, but not quite as much. My favorite part of this movie was the opening scene. It had some really intense drama and emotions. The film had good sound design and good camera work. It has a good setup with clear goals and motivations. But where this film struggles is how it's paced and structured. A lot of this movie is very repetitive, and it feels like not much is happening at all. And it does start to get better in the second half of the film, but you really do have to get past an initial slog. And with how much time this film wastes, it makes it even more frustrating that the main character is very underdeveloped. The main character of this film is very much a blank slate, and I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more if there were more to his character. It is still successfully emotional, and it is both sad and endearing at points, but this type of long journey movie feels a bit too familiar in ways, and having a unique character could have helped it to stand out a bit more, because as it is, this movie doesn't really do enough exceptionally to be memorable. There are child performances in the film, but the film didn't really get them to do much at all, which is usually a smart choice, but given the context of what's happening in the story, it really seems like they should be giving more emotion. There's also a sequence at the end of the film that feels really unintentionally goofy. Still, for the most part, this movie was enjoyable. There's a good amount that this film did right, it's just unfortunately not going to be remembered. So yeah, check this one out if you want, although I prefer this director's film called Circles a bit more, and I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. Another film I saw was a documentary called Time. This is an absolutely beautifully presented documentary. I really love the artistic choices going into how this was presented. The film is in black and white and includes a lot of home video footage and a great piano soundtrack. The opening of this film is just so incredibly artful in its pacing and presentation. At points it feels like a fictional narrative film despite it being a documentary. And as much as I absolutely love just how strongly this film started, it unfortunately slowly fell apart over the course of the film. The structure and pacing start to feel jarring and nonsensical. The music somehow gets worse and becomes really cheesy during what appears to be the climax of the film. I still really love many aspects of this film's presentation, and there are plenty of aspects that I really connect with in this documentary, but there are other parts that I couldn't really relate to at all. Still, this film is probably worth watching, even if the experience becomes gradually more frustrating as the film goes on. So yeah, check this one out if you want, and I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. Another film I saw was Flowers of the Field, which is the directorial debut of Toronto filmmaker Andrew Stanley. Now, this is a film that basically nobody watched. It's very obviously super indie and low budget. That being said, it is really good for a first film. It is decently shot for what it is despite its limitations. The main actor of this film also does a really good job. Basically, this is about a man struggling with his sexuality that goes to a kind of conversion therapy. It's a nice concept and is certainly appropriate for the budgetary limitations. Parts of this film are intentionally weird and unnerving. Overall, it's a pretty solid film that I wish had more production value. The film could definitely use some better audio. Some parts of the film were way too quiet compared to other parts, despite there being no soundtrack. The script worked well for what it is, but I wish they would have done more with it. Even despite the budget, there's a lot more that this film could have explored. It doesn't really delve into what they do all day at this weird retreat, and I wish we knew more about the characters in this film. My biggest issue with this movie is that it didn't really have a sense of location. The overwhelming majority of this film is indoors, and I often found myself asking, where is this? Which likely would have been remedied by showing some exterior establishing shots, but there were not a lot of those. Also, the main character's mom looked the same age as the main character. That was kind of weird. Anyway, I still thought this movie was decent for what it was. As a first film made with basically no money, I think it's pretty good. So yeah, check this one out if you want, although I don't know where or when it would ever be available. And I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. I'm leaving the— Fuck you! There's a man there! The mission is to kill them! The man is there!
There's a man there!
The mission is to kill the men, and you're telling me I'm leaving— What the fuck?